Hey, Mike Walsh from Straight Path Solutions here. So it's 2019. It's the end of January 2019. In just 6 short months, SQL Server 2008 R2 will not just be out of mainstream support like it is today, it will actually be out of all support. There won't be extended support anymore for it. You know this. I know this. But there's a lot of upgrades that still haven't happened. And forget SQL Server 2008. What about SQL 2012 and 2014? Do you know all the things that have changed since then? I bet you probably do. And I bet you might be, a little hesitant to upgrade. Where do you start? Can you do it without downtime? Can you do it? You're on Enterprise today. Do you need to be on Enterprise? Can you go to Standard? What about the cloud? Is the cloud a place to go? What about this feature? What about that feature? I heard a rumor that in 2016, Service Pack 1, Microsoft took all these enterprise features and allowed them to be available to you in standard. I keep hearing about all this AWS RDS stuff. I hear about migrations away from SQL. I hear about Azure Managed Instance. People say I can just lift and shift my server. Why can't I just do that? Azure SQL DB Elastic Pools. There are so many options out there. And then you have to deal with your vendors. I know why you haven't upgraded yet. I get it. Software vendors say, no, you can't, or you have to do it on our terms. All these features came out. You have so many priorities at work, and management is saying, do this first and do that next. And you have all these things happening. Meanwhile, your SQL Server 2008 and 2012 and 2014 has kind of been humming along, and nobody's really paying any attention to it because it's just working. And here you are now. If you're in an industry that deals in any matter of compliance, which is nearly all of us these days, we're about to get dinged if we don't finish this upgrade process. So there's a lot of questions, and it sounds scary, and it feels scary. I totally understand it. And you just want to get upgraded. So that's what this webinar is about that I'm announcing here. Starting in a couple of weeks on February 7th. So just make sure that's right. Yep, Thursday, February 7th. We're going to do a webinar here at Straight Path. It's going to be mostly me. There's going to be 4 webinars where I'm going to sort of just walk you through the roadmap. It's really not that scary. I'm going to tell you why you can do it. I'm going to tell you why you should do it. I'm going to help you pick your version. So we'll talk about a couple of webinars for before your upgrade. How do we do it? What do we plan on? Where do we go? Out of this huge menu of choices, what do we pick? What about the cloud? We'll talk about that at a high level. Then we'll dive a little bit deeper, talk about planning for your upgrade. Then we'll talk about during the upgrade. What are things you can do for success? Do you have to do an in-place upgrade? No, don't. I'll explain why, and I'll give you some of the risks of doing an in-place upgrade. We'll then sort of tell you why I prefer migration. What about your environment that requires a lot of downtime or requires no downtime, rather? We can talk about how to do that just via log backups and, basically log shipping or poor man's log shipping. We can talk about that. And then we'll talk about after. And really the after migration webinar is really applicable to anybody. We'll talk about best practices and just things to keep your SQL Server healthy and how to stay on top of it so you don't build up 10 years of debt when the next sort of big end-of-life event comes. So we're going to try and help you build an environment that you can keep it managed. It's a free webinar. I'm not going to try and sell Straight Path. I'm just going to try and give you some tips and tricks that I wish I had 20 years ago when I was faced with trying to upgrade my SQL Server 7s and 6.5s and 2000s up to the latest versions. So we'll talk about before, during, and after. We'll make it real simple, and we'll help you figure out how to have a conversation with your vendors and all those blockers that are stopping the upgrade process. We'll help you clear them out of the way so you can have a really successful 2019 and get those SQL servers upgraded and just feel good and at least put that package away and say, hey, I'm done with SQL. SQL's happy. Let's worry about these other problems. So please tune into the webinar. We'll have a registration link under this post or in this post. We'll have a couple links around that. So it's going to be hopefully really enlightening and helpful. And if you're thinking about upgrades and maybe a little scared, maybe a little hesitant, come to the webinar and see. We'll record it as well, and we'll post the recordings here on the blog. And we'll have a bunch of blog posts up during the webinar series, and maybe even have a couple PDFs you can download with no obligation, just for being part of the webinar. So anyway, hope to see you there. Thank you so much for listening to me give a spiel here, and thanks for registering and tuning in. Looking forward to talking with you for a handful of weeks, 5 weeks from February 7th on. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a kind of a group chat. We'll get everybody at Straight Path. So we'll get Tara, Joe, Mike, Jack, and me, and Bruce on the. So I think that's everybody. We'll get the whole team on, and we'll critique the webinars I did. We'll answer any questions that you have after watching it, and have a live chat, live stream session, and hopefully we'll get you all on your way to SQL Server peace and harmony. So thanks.